Hello, hello. Hey, Kevin. Happy Friday. We are going to do the usual stuff. So let's start with PRs. Come on. There we go. Happy Friday indeed. Okay, so which one of these do we do first? I don't know if it matters. Let me see what this one was. Permanent scene route. And what I probably left some comment. That's fine. The town scene always results in this. I'm guessing Kevin handled that. Can't reproduce this on Windows. Don't see anything that's ours in the backtrace. Searched a bit on the Godot repo. Didn't see anything relevant. Do you get one of the Mac OS or Apple reports when this happens? Those sometimes have a bit more info. Interesting. I'll have to try that again then. Hi, Panda. And thanks. I'm actually not a huge fan of this shirt. I bought it in the size I normally buy things in, and it's too small, I think. So I think I might take it out of my rotation. Okay, well, let's try this, I guess. How many commits have happened since I reviewed this? 2, 3, 5, 7. Okay. Although some of that's just merging. All right, well, 940. GHPR checkout 940. Might need to pull on top of this. Or reset. No, I don't. Okay. Cool. Let's do this. Let's reload just in case. Yeah, so we're going to do, I think there are 2 PRs. We're going to look through these. We're going to get back to some coding changes. I believe the press has access to NextFest now, even though it's not fully out. And I don't actually, I wonder if Steam announced how many people generally access it from the press. Like, is it 200 people? Is it 2,000 people? It doesn't really make too much of a difference, I guess, but I am a little curious. If it were like, let's say 20,000 people, then it's pretty reasonable that probably a couple of them are going to find it, right? But if it's 200 people, maybe nobody finds it in that time. Hey, Hagerman. Hey, Magnetic Mind. Hello, hello, hello. All right, well, let's try this out. So what did I say in my comment here? Where is the comment? Sometimes this is hard to find. Here we go. Oh, that was already fixed. Quitting from the town scene results in a crash. Okay, let's go try that. Maybe this was unrelated to this PR. Although I think I did try on the main branch and it didn't happen there. So I go to quit. Yeah, this has always been happening, so that's fine. Maybe it's caused by something else then. Like maybe we go to the title screen and then back to the town and then maybe it happens. So title screen, new game, quit. No, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, maybe it'll show up again. Yeah, nothing we're doing is in here anyway. Okay. Let's look at the comments that I left. Is there an easier way to see these? Probably. All right, I'm gonna resolve this. I'll just resolve everything as I go through it. Call gamesaver.load here, handle the error. All right, so this is in title screen. .load. Yeah, this is fine for now. Okay, resolve that. 85 filter. How you doing? How was the last month been for you? Isn't difficult to follow since we only have a few scenes. Let me give it a try. If this is a great idea, add a commit making that change. Oh, interesting. I wonder. Let's go take a look at that. Scene scripts main. So this has a state machine somewhere. Here it is. Yeah, this is now super clean. And yeah, now we just have this state machine. What is simple state machine? Simplified version of state machine where the states are state T as opposed to a subclass of it. I see. I think we need a tiny bit more of a comment there saying why we did things this way or why we should use the new one. Just say, when do we use each one of these in the future? What is a state in this case? I wonder if you could say where T is either. Wait a second. Why can't we use state machine for this? Maybe we can. Maybe it even does. It does. Well, I guess it just simplifies this. Yeah. Okay, so now we added a bunch of states. Yeah, this is very easy. Yeah, this is this is much easier to understand. Okay, where do these all exist? Scene scripts, main scene, town state. I might move where these are. Want to force the states to be a game state T. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Type elision or elision. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it when it ends in SION, but I know it's elide. Okay, let's write that down. So PRs, scene root, move the states, the new state files to their own folder. Yeah, that's a pretty easy change we can do. Yeah. Okay, what's this now? Fix my broken italics here. I think this is a, oh, italics don't even work in this? Oh no, I broke that too. There. I think this is a vestige of the old design where scene transition was added to each scene. Seems like we can just fetch transition layer. Do you mean the main should pass in an init? The reason I left it as an export is so it can be set in the editor. It's that I don't think this is used anymore, right? Node where fade happens. Or rather that we can, no, it's used. It's that we can just fetch this. Yeah, just fetch transition layer. But it's in this scene, isn't it? Oh, it's not in this scene. Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought scene transition was in, or no, other way around. I thought transition layer was in this, not in main. Comment and resolve. They're in their own folder? Do you mean a different path? Oh, I see. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I saw that they're in scene scripts, which has been our like dumping ground for script. And yeah, I feel like they should probably go into states, some of them, or a new folder. Yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. All right, this works, but I feel like we should change transition to scene to taking a scene path. Oh yeah, we did talk about this on Discord. Came with a slightly different system where each scene script holds its scene's path. I think it makes for a much nicer API. Also very rare we call instantiate scene, but we can change that gradually. Oh, because instantiate scene takes in a path and doesn't need to. Unless we ever allow for multiple scene instantiation paths. Like you could have a tooltip on parent version A and version B. But yeah. Oh, let's take a look at this. Mechanisms to derive scene paths from their type. So this is adding, oh, interesting. Actually do start to do this over here. I scene script and then give it a path. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. This will work. And I think this is good. Something that's kind of interesting here is that we end up with a scene path in this file. So if we ever move where the scene lives, we need to modify, like let's say we renamed a folder, we need to modify a whole bunch of individual files, which there's no real way around this unless we use UIDs everywhere, which we're not going to do. Okay, this is looking good. Yeah, so this is gone, and then the function here should change to be much simpler. Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Looks good, looks good. Yep, looks good. Yeah, I'm just gonna put a thumbs up rather than having to leave a comment. Okay, next up. Huh. How is this void beforehand? Oh. That was before any of this change happened, not just the one commit. As an easy suggestion, we can call this from here, handle the error. Wait, didn't I leave another comment about this? I could have sworn I resolved something like that already. Yeah, this. Unresolved. Outdated. Okay, yeah, I guess we just ignore that. Is it okay for this to live in this file? Let's see, scene functions. I think it's fine as long as we comment it. Yeah. Wow, that was easy. Just so that callers don't have to call cref equals instantiate scene with a string path. Okay, instead use a static property. Yeah. And let me guess, this doesn't work? Yeah, no, it doesn't. Scene functions. Nice. Hey, TJ. I'm just going to add a comment here. This is really, really minor. I don't even think it's, whoops. Ooh, what did I just do? There we go. Yep, totally fine. I just added a comment. I mean, we might as well sync that now. All right, next up, this makes it a bit nicer to call since we don't need to cast everywhere. See scene functions. Resource cache. We use this in 2 different places. Yeah, I think it's good. What else? Seemed nice to have to avoid having to type out state machine, main state machine. Oh, nice. Okay. On a similar note, I think we change game state machine to be defined as this. So we can simply do game state machine guild master. Guild master state machine. I see. What makes a game state machine? It has to inherit from game state. And what makes game state a thing? It's got clicked ended battle. This is stupid. Oh man, this is stupid. At least I think this is stupid. I don't know. I'm not going to even look at this for right now. Yeah. Okay, so let's go try this out. One requested change. I think we can approve this. How do we do that? I've never figured this out. Maybe I just approve it now. We should probably look at all the changes before I do that, though. Let's just do this. Show since your last review. 4 commits. How's that possible? I guess some of them were before on the same day. But I should have looked through all of this just by virtue of the new comments. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. This was from merging. Yeah, so town should have any get node calls. That was already there. Should have any get node calls in just ready. And init shouldn't do any of this. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, looks good. Let's try running it. Not too bad, not too bad. So, tiny follow-up unrelated to this. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, indeed. What's going on here? Huh. Let's look at the remote scene tree and see what's happening here. We can't inspect what the current path is. What if we turn this off? Do we see anything? I guess we don't need to pause this in order to test this. I don't see anything. Uh-oh. There's nothing in the scene route. It didn't transition anything. Okay, let's try running this through code. Because at least then if I pause, I can evaluate things. Here's the problem. New scene. And scene route doesn't exist? Scene route's null. You check your changes. For some reason, Godot is removing that export property we talked about. There is a change here. Whoop, did it just... Weird. Okay, let's go back into main. Scene route is not set. Yeah, weird. Okay, well, that should fix it. Oh, and... Oh, weird. Godot's removing that. Yeah, that might happen every time we run, though. Okay, that's scary. If I run from here, does it remove it again? No. That's very weird. I'm gonna reload the project. Actually, let's close out of all this stuff. So we have to go to main. We're gonna reload. Because if this happens every time, then we're gonna be in a problem. In which case we could just set this through code. But yeah. I think maybe I need to click this and then reload and then click the play button. Oh, maybe it won't happen now. No, it selects this anyway. Maybe I need to save the scene after that. Yeah, it's okay. Nah, I don't know. Yeah. As long as it doesn't happen again, I guess it doesn't really matter. All right, let's run this again because I need to still test this. I just hit a black screen the first time. So it loads, we're put into the game. If we go to the title screen and then hit load game, that's probably working fine. I mean, I didn't see anything unusual, but I don't remember why the save game had. So now title screen, go over to here. That's not what used to happen. New game is now skipping the intro, which is fine. We can skip the intro. But that's not what used to happen. Hey, Mika. You haven't been here in a long time, right? Yeah, you have not been here in a long time. It's been like a year and a half. What's up? I was like, there's a name that I haven't seen in forever. There's like main, there's an argument pass that controls that. So the question is, do we ever need to test the intro? Because we don't really need to. I could set this to false. Actually, let's set both these to false. And just see what happens if I were a regular player. It should go to the title screen, and then the title screen should go to the intro. Yep, and yep. And I skip this, and it goes in the game. Yeah, okay, I think this is good. Yeah, just a tiny difference in functionality, but that's okay. We don't ever really need to test the intro, and this is probably more ergonomic anyway. All right, looking good. Yeah. Looks good. Thanks for making the changes. Cool. Skeleseller looks beautiful. Thank you. You know, I was thinking, okay, so I have a couple things I want to talk about. 1 is phantom items, and 2 is Skeleseller progress. Okay, so let's start with this because this is more relevant to people right now. But I was looking through, I have a user research thing. I'll just show it. Research for research. So every so often I ask someone to play the game, and I have this written down here. People have already given feedback, and Programmer D gave feedback in checkpoint 2. So I was like, I wonder what that looked like back then. So I went through my VODs and I found checkpoint 2. It was, I want to say July of last year. So it's been almost a year, not quite, but almost a year since then. And it it's sort of funny when you consider how much the game has changed, and yet the heart of the game is pretty much the same. It's always been this gameplay loop of like hire adventurers, start battles, sell their items. So back then there was almost no polish, like fewer animations, yeah, less content, less stuff to do. I mean, content and stuff to do. These like less content, less systems, I guess I should say. Fewer systems. Anyway, the list goes on. This is probably pretty typical, but it kind of made me think, should I do a video talking about here's what 1 year of game dev actually looks like? Because we got to this state after I think it was 2.5 months where we had checkpoint 2. Like the game was playable. My friend was pretty confused about a lot of things. I remember there were a lot of pieces of feedback that we hadn't been able to address. Like we didn't have a flee button, so you couldn't leave a battle. And some battles would take a very long time. You just had to watch them play out. It's like, this isn't going to make or break the game, but you do this 100 or 1,000 times and it's going to make a huge difference. That'd be cool. Hey, Ryan. Yeah, I think it's something I should probably consider after Next Fest. I'll write this down for Tuesday. So Monday, 10-inch journal, 1 week until Next Fest. Oops. And then Tuesday, schedule a video about what 1 year of game dev looks like. Get the old version of Skeleseller, show it, show the new version, talk about how the gameplay is basically the same, but everything looks and feels better. The overall message should be something like, you can prove an idea very quickly, but to launch it is the second 90% of the work. I'll massage this. This is just notes for me. Yeah, anyway, it's very eye-opening when you see that. And I might as well bring this up as sort of a prop for what we're talking about here. Let me mute this, go over to here, click live. All right, so let's find something from checkpoint. Can I find the exact video? No. Oh, wait. Oh, that's because I haven't scrolled down far enough yet. No, wait. It might not be that. Can I search? Yeah. Checkpoint. It's this. That was day 33. So we probably want day 34, 35. Yeah, here it was. Okay, so let's go to a random point in this video where I'm actually playing the game. So here's what things look like back in, what date was this? July 26th. Okay, so let me just freeze frame here. A couple things that we see. One, the UI is just, oh wait, never mind, this is the debug UI, so never mind, ignore that. There's just a floating little text snippet here. These are what the old nudges were. The map looks a lot less polished. We have like very boxy paths here. The portal is not the new portal graphic. And this was the entirety of the town. It was 3 shops and a warehouse. I don't think there were any other systems. We didn't have the tavern. We didn't have the farm. It looks like there's a farm off to the side, but that's just a graphic. Oh yeah, even the skeleton graphic looks different. Yeah, the warehouse had the item displays at the top, so workers had to walk all the way up there. Yeah, there are just a lot of issues. Things look different. I don't think there were sound effects for this. There's default UI in the battles. It's like a year did all of that. So whenever you play a game that's in early access or that kind of just never makes it past the prototype phase, seemingly like a game jam game, and you think, oh, they didn't have to do much to release it. Like they did have to do a lot to release it. They would have had to put in a lot of time. Anyway, that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about was phantom items. We've had this bug where items will just remain on the path right here and you can't click them and workers can't pick them up. And I had a hunch, which is what if this was caused by something totally unrelated? Like there's an exception thrown before we can position items or something. And I asked the last person who, this person named Thina Dragon did some videos on Skeleseller, and I asked her for her log files, and there were only two exceptions that really printed out. This one, which happened like a million times, this was because she was on an older version of the game where the paladin was causing issues. And then the other exception was this. I don't know what this exception is because it's in Godot code and it just says object reference not set to an instance of an object. So we'd have to go look at their code for log exception. Possibly it's just completely ignorable. So I don't think this could cause phantom items. But I wanted to look into it and see. Took like a year to make the witness. Another 6 to 7 years to polish it. Yeah. So I don't like this idea. I'll just say this. I would love for games to take like a year to make and then like 2 months to polish. That would be nice. Because what it would mean is that you could, like, I find this to be the fun part, the making the game part. But I've talked about gamer expectations a lot. I don't think that games that released on, let's say, like Super Nintendo were less polished. In fact, I think they were pretty polished. But I think probably the amount of time it took to get to that polish or just sort of how many resources you had to spend to do it, I think it was way less. Yeah. I feel like it's minimum 50-50 for gameplay and polish. Yeah, it's hard to say any sort of prescriptive numbers for this stuff because it all depends on how it feels in the end. I do think that polish probably I don't know. It's really hard to say because I'm trying to think, is there a game out there that wasn't polished in some way that ended up becoming like a mega success? So if I consider games like Undertale, Stardew, Terraria, Factorio, like these games are all polished. Undertale may not look super flashy or something, but it's a very well polished game. And I can't imagine that was easy to do. Minecraft was pretty bare bones when it blew up. Yeah, that's true. And it was just creative mode that caused it to blow up. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, my overall thoughts, I'm happy with where Skeleseller is. I think that any new features we add, having to spend like an extra month kind of making them look good is going to be a little frustrating. And we've put polish into a lot of little things. Like the other day, we made it so that when a tip pops up, if it's been on your screen for 55 seconds, it enlarges a little bit. And that on its own helped a lot. People now see those tips, and all it took is just enlarge the tip a little. It's not like coding that was hard, but we needed to know that we needed to do that. So I needed to do user research. And then we needed to actually say, okay, this is a high enough priority to address. Pretty much an infinite number of things you could do to make a game more polished. Yeah, exactly. So how do you know when you've done enough? And a lot of this, they're all iterative processes. You don't do like 50 items of polish and then say, okay, we're done forever now. If people say, okay, the game's still not polished, then you do another 50 items of polish and just keep repeating. However, at some point, one of a couple of things will happen. Either you run out of resources as in money or time. Or two, you kind of launch and then people stop caring about updates. So yeah, imagine you launch your game and a bunch of people don't like it. Is that it? Is it just over for you? How much of a marketing budget do you need now to overcome maybe a bad launch? Sorry, that's stuff. Hey, Ara, long time no see. Gamer expectations are crazy. At least the influencer and self-called gamers, the ones who think other casual gamers are not really gamers. The other vast silent majority is quite permissive with unpolished things. I think that even the people who are probably okay with unpolished stuff probably still expect a lot more than people did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Like, I don't think a game needs to look great, but I think people generally want kind of everything. They want like tons of content, updates to the game, graphics, multiplayer wherever possible. I don't know, achievements, whatever, just any number of things that they could do, modding support, etc., etc. A game doesn't have to have all those things, but I think it's just one more hurdle that you need to climb if you don't have it. Okay, allow resizing battle windows. Let's take a look at what my comments were for this. Yeah, I wonder if this was changed. Yeah, it was changed. Okay, minor bug, nice catches caused by a bug and from value are null. I'm curious how that changed because I didn't see a bug in that. Where is it? Here. Try to get this. Is defined result? What? Where did he? Oh, I never pulled this. I'm trying to search for code that doesn't exist. 1003. Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is just a crazy game. I think I tried playing it once and gave up, but this was before they did some like UI overhaul that made it actually understandable how the game is played. Okay. So now I have to search for is defined. Default cases return instead. Default is always 0 though, right? So I guess this is the first option. The thing is, this doesn't really exist, right? A nullable enumeration. I wonder if we should have a none value and the 0 value is always considered to be invalid. Anyway, let's keep reading. What else do we have here? Yeah, so this fourth option is kind of what I was talking about for option number 3, I think. Only allow for scrolling via mouse drag on the instances themselves, not on the gaps between them. Which is, I think, what Kevin said here. Just by overriding this, do you think that's all easier? Okay, so wait, before I even answer this question, was this already done? Yes. So this is has point, yeah. I misunderstood. That's totally fine. Yeah. And this is fine. This is fine. Okay, so I got to fix the texture blurriness thing. Fix texture blurriness when resizing windows. Okay, so I'm still up in the air about instance window docking. But yeah, I'm gonna find to show this off. So here is what we have so far. You can click this minus button and it'll make the windows smaller. It messes up a little bit. We need some different UIs in there. And then you can click the plus button to make it even bigger. These buttons probably need to change tooltips. The minus and plus buttons need to change tooltips eventually. Doesn't need to have it in this PR. But yeah, okay, so this feature, let's start this again. And then do this and then do this. All right, so we have window docking in the game right now. which is that you can click this button and undock a window, move it around, and then click this button and redock the window. I don't think we need this feature anymore. And I'm trying to think, when would someone knowingly leave it on? Or would they miss this if it's not on? So like, let's say this is the default and this arrow doesn't even exist. So now you don't even know that docking exists in a game, and now you need to manage these windows yourself. If this happened to you, I guess you could just shrink all these windows and put them somewhere. But you could just overlap them yourself if you wanted to. So yeah, then you wouldn't be able to scroll between them and easily see which one's which. Which I guess could leave you in a state that's maybe slightly frustrating, but that's assuming you don't even have enough space for this. And we might allow you to minimize this even further. So they're just like postage stamp sizes. But yeah, I do wonder about whether docking should be a thing. Oh, this is unfortunate. Yeah, this is another reason why docking probably shouldn't be a thing. So if you scroll, you can move these from side to side. But if you scroll over here, you'll scroll off of the window and then start zooming in. Yeah. Fourth option, do this. Do you think this solves the issue? Okay, so RE docking. I still think we should probably remove the feature entirely. Just not sure what it accomplishes. By the way, with the, what is it, get point? Would feel awful to try to line them up myself. Well, you only need to do it once, and we could do it by default for you. Like, imagine that they still look like they're in the docked positions. So for people, yeah, like this is how it would look. And if you do move one and then close this and open a new window, then it'll remember where you put it. So functionally, it would be, you know, practically identical. It's just the thing that docking did is it made it so that if your window couldn't hold all the battle windows, that you could scroll side to side, and I guess technically you couldn't like drag these away as long as there's a button to line them up nicely. Yeah, we could do that, although I don't know where it would line them up. Like, would you want it at the bottom of the screen? What if someone's got them positioned like this, where they're at the side, and you click the line up button and it puts them all at the bottom? And you're like, no, I wanted these on the side. And it could base it on where one of the windows is, and then we try to position it for you, but like, yeah. Converting to win form so you can use native sub-window shenanigans. I think we can use native sub-window shenanigans already because Godot can support that. Also, hey, Krasner and Free Technic. Yeah, we could pop this open into its own OS window if we wanted to. I don't think that's a good idea, because then you'd have like 3 random battle windows outside of Skeleseller. So imagine if we did this basically, and then close all of these. So now it's like this would be your battle window, and you could actually shrink this way down and click buttons over here while you're also playing the game over here. Like I don't see that being I don't see that being fun or usable. By the way, with the change to, what is that? Get point. Has point. Be able to do applications like MS Office where the widget API did the same sub-window thing you're implementing, just way more complicated. Oh, okay. With the change to has point, you can now scroll to move a battle window, but by moving the window, the scroll will start targeting the town, which will zoom the camera. Yeah. So let's see. Hey, President. Is there anything else? Like we could get one of these, like arrange the buttons or arrange all the windows. Fanatic Bind said it would be nice to have a button to arrange the windows. Same mechanism that Godot used for window management can also be used for embedded windows. Yeah. Yeah, so then I guess it would be easy enough to do. The proof of concept I want to show? Yeah, sure. Let's do that. How do we open this outside of here? I guess I can just download it. Is this working? Yeah, so here was the example. We could pop a battle window into its own OS window and just have the battle window. Let me think about this some more. Did I write that we could test this out with people? Yeah, just turn it off via feature flag and see how people engage with the game. Who's outside of the game window? Yeah. Man, I don't know. I'm torn. Oh, I don't know why I'm torn. I guess it's just that I don't think people would miss this if it didn't exist, where people would say like, "Hey, can I dock my windows?" In fact, we had the opposite happen a bunch. We had people say, "I don't like how the battle windows are stuck on the bottom." But then we allowed for the option of unsticking them. So if people didn't mind that they were stuck on the bottom, then they could move them. But if people were never going to move them anyway, then they wouldn't care if they were positioned like this. I guess this is the problem that you have when you change the window size, that it'll just put them all on top of each other. Oh, I'm so torn. Oh man. I thought I recalled a way to completely minimize it and see only a little summary bar. So that is what we changed for this new feature. Yes, you used to click this minus button and it would just turn it into the title bar. But now it'll shrink it to a size probably even smaller than this. In fact, let me show you what that would look like. That's weird. Oh wait, it's a comma. Okay, yeah. So if I said this is a 0.25 or something, this is probably going to be configurable, what I'm showing you. But imagine that you have a slider that lets you control what the small size is of an instance, and maybe also the large size. So now when you make an instance and you want to shrink it, it could be really tiny. So imagine that you had 3 of these open and you didn't want them to take up a lot of space. You could do this. The end battle screen looks a little bit messed up. But yeah. And that way too, it's like you don't need an extra summary view. You can still tell at a glance how the battle is doing. And then if you ever do want to make this bigger, you could just increase the size of all of them. The only thing... For this PR, we can definitely leave it in. But I think we should try eventually removing this feature. Or maybe having it be off by default. All right, well, anyway, let's go look at the code. What happened here? Instances manager got a script. Hold on a second. It got a script on its scroll container? Yeah, on its scroll container. And what is this? That's not needed apparently. You can revert that back to what it was. Yeah, it has point now. Very interesting. Okay, so this looks good. This we just looked at. Yeah. That's fine. This saves the scale now, yeah. Oh, we got to try is what happens when you don't have this in your save data and try loading a file. Is that going to break anything? I mean, it's pretty easy to test that. So if we save this and I go over to the save data, do I not have that open? Save data, save.json, scale, here it is. Okay, so let's just delete all of these. And then try loading the game. And then we start a battle window. So it'll be at the smallest size if we do that. And then if I save this, it'll get saved at the smallest size, yeah. That's probably fine. Wait, no, maybe that's not fine because yeah, no, that's not fine. Because they players won't have these controls to be able to make it larger. We have to figure out where that thing is. There's a change somewhere to false. Here it is. Battle window scale enabled. Battle window scale enabled. So if this is false, what happens? You can't set it. And the buttons are hidden, but it still works. Yeah. Yeah, this is a problem then. Because you'd have small battle windows without even being able to see it. The easiest possible fix we could do for this is just set this to 0.5, and then there wouldn't be a problem. But the correct fix would be to load it in as the regular size if it's not set in the save file. Where is it? Yeah, this was sort of attempted, but it doesn't quite work. Okay, so there's a bug here that would be pretty frustrating for returning players, which is that the save data can contain positions. I'll just say this, which is that if the save data exists for instance slots, then it won't contain the scale value. So it'll get loaded as the small scale, but then the minus and plus buttons won't show. Allow them to change the size back to normal. Proper fix would be to check if just the scale value is missing and default to regular. An easy way to fix this though, well, no. Yeah, well, I guess I'll write it. An easy way to fix this could just be to invalidate save files altogether by bumping the version. I personally think docking is valuable. One thing I could see people liking is setting them vertically on the side instead of at the bottom. Maybe pull on Discord to get a general sense. I guess changing the dock position, we could have like 4 options. So top, left, right, or down, I guess. It can't really be on the left side though, can it? That's where the town menu is. That's the town menu though, so that may not work. Actually, it's pretty much just the bottom or the right side. I just don't know why the docking would be good. Be right at bottom, yeah. Change the default enumeration case to be the regular size, so I think I'll do that. How do you do that? Because I was going to say you have this here. Or not that one. Yeah, this smaller scales and larger scales. So if we just bumped this up, for example, then it's going to break. You'd have to change these functions too. Which you could do, but it's just, you'd have to change those too. You need to change that and write down the dictionaries myself. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Alternatively, how hard would it be to do this part? I guess we couldn't tell that it's not there. Yeah. I'll just leave this like that. We were still looking through the code. Yeah, I guess I still don't really see the value in, okay, so let's say you do change a dock to be over here. What is that doing for you? Giving a default value in the status record constructor would fix it too. Yeah, I would need to experiment with this stuff. Values I don't have to organize the windows myself. But I'm not sure what you're envisioning here, but what I'm picturing is this. We remove docking, and then the default positions of windows are the exact same as if you'd had a docking feature on. So like, imagine that your first battle window opens here, and your second one opens here, and your third one opens here. You wouldn't know that docking isn't a thing. That you just play the game. And then if you ever did want to move one of these out, you could. And you could expand it or something. I guess after that, if you wanted to move it back, you'd have to manually move it back. Yeah, what if I accidentally move a window? But it's the same as if you accidentally undocked, I guess, right? Like if you had this docked and you accidentally click this, now it's not docked and other windows will stack on top of it. And you'd have to, I guess it's easier to accidentally move a window than it is to accidentally undock. But still, even if you accidentally move a window, you're probably accidentally moving it by like a couple of pixels, right? Sold on this. Also, if you move the game window, it may move all by itself. Yeah, so I could definitely see that as being a problem. If you resize the game window, it'll just stack all your windows on top of each other, and then resizing it again will not cause them to lay out again. And what Monadic Bind had said earlier is, what if there was a button that said, like, lay this out nicely? And it could do that without docking them. So right now, docking them is going to lay them out like this every time. And, like, you can't move the dock itself. Actually, as I said that, I was wondering, what if you could move the dock just by dragging the whole thing? So you could move this wherever you want. It's not really docked at that point. It's just grouped. I don't know. Probably think that helps. All right, anyway, it doesn't matter. We already have the feature coded, so. There's only that one change I think we have to make, but I haven't finished looking through all the files yet, so let's finish doing that. So we used to do this. Now we get every instance slot. If it's undocked, we save a position. Save its skill no matter what. And then return all of this stuff. Open slot save status. What is that here? Yeah, okay. Hey Sage, welcome in. All right. Looks good. Looks good. Handle drag scrolling was moved to the new script. That's fine. These were never used. I should probably deleted those at some point. Then what's this for? On instance slot toolbar action pressed. Oh, there's a whole bunch of code missing from there. I just got to go to 556 in instances manager. All right, close instance slot. Huh. Position. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, so the rest of this looks good. I think it's just that one change. I'll just say, note that monadic bind suggested a, like, lay out the windows for me button that could do essentially what docking did. Okay, so wait, I guess there's... Where's that thing I wrote? There were two pros. Arrange them such that they can never overlap. A button would fix that. Allows you to position them outside the game window. I don't know if anyone ever cared about that. So I think this is what people wanted. And we could have a button that fixes that. That isn't docking, I guess. Hey, Leftist, and thank you. Yeah. So did anybody probably care about this feature where the battle windows could go outside the screen? And I don't think so, but it's hard to say. Okay, so yeah, we just want that one thing changed, which I think Kevin's probably in the process of doing, but I can merge this after this comment has been addressed. This would be a really bad thing to leave in, that's why. And then this, the minus and plus buttons, you need to change tooltips eventually. So, all right, this is a follow-up to 1003. Follow-ups for 1003. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to here now. Oh, wait, whoops. I got rid of I gotta check this in. Remove unused import. There. Okay, now we can go back to main. Good, and good. All right, so I want to try this out. I am not hopeful at all for this, but let's see. Let's see if something happens here. Could something happen, actually? What caused this? Luminescence. Could you do damage when you activated this thing? What does luminescence even do? You gain holy light every second. And that only made you heal. Healing could never do damage. Not for you, at least. Unless this was triggered by shield bash. So basically, shield bash would have to end the battle. Oh man. Okay, I could do that, but then I don't think this is going to cause a problem. I don't even know if concurrent modification issues bail out of the for loop. They probably do. Let's go test that. C# playground. Okay, so we need a list of something. A list of strings equals hi there. How are you? And then we need to import this. It'd be so nice if this thing did this for me. I don't ever remember what the import is for list. Because I just auto fix it. There. All right, so those are the strings. Then we do for each string stir in strings. Copy this. Okay, so if I run this, it's just going to print out the 5 strings that we have, right? Yeah. But then while we're iterating over them, we're going to do strings.remove. And then it's not going to tell me what that takes in. Okay, vampiric lead dot remove. What does this take? An item itself. Okay, so we're going to remove how. Now what happens? Yeah, so we get a hi and then an exception, and then it's not gonna continue. It's not gonna continue code flow, right? Yeah. Yeah, so this would stop. Oh wait, maybe this is the problem then. No, wait, no, can't be. Well, it could be, I guess. And I guess it's easiest to just verify it. Oh man, if this is the problem, this is pretty crazy. All right, so how do we do this? We got to go to here. And this needs to have a way of making. All right, let's just try something here. Let's do if stack computations dot %chance. This is the best way I can think to do this. We'll just make a 25% chance to throw an exception. Invalid operation exception. Testeroni. Then we're gonna get the paladin to do 1,000,000 damage. They need to have an effect though. So power value, let's multiply this by a ton. And then let's try this out. This might not work. But man, if this is the cause of this thing, I'm going to be very proud of myself. All right, we need auto battle. So let's go turn that on. We need the paladin. Coincidentally, we got a cleric. There's the paladin. Now we need to save, and then we need to start a battle with the paladin. And yeah, this is going to fail a lot. Okay, this was dumb. We got to make the chance for this to fail way, way lower than that. Oh, man. I don't know. And I guess we need to run this from outside. Oh, wait, no. Here's what we can do. We can just turn off breaking in on these, all exceptions. Yeah. Make it just fail once with a Boolean. The problem is, so the effect system runs every single frame, and we need the paladin to have killed the enemy. So I want the kill to coincide with this error. So I could do that. I could set like a global Boolean essentially. And I might do that if this is not going to play ball here. All right, so how many errors are we getting? There's one. So yeah, if we just let this run for enough, we might see something over here. But the odds of this happening are probably pretty slim. And even if it happens, I don't know for sure this is going to cause the problem. It doesn't look like it. Oh, wait a second though. For this to okay. Let me just look at the code. Okay, so you do shield bash. How does this work? We do damage, we call deal damage gets hit, and we call this. this, we'll check to see if the enemy dies somewhere. Where does that happen? Huh, where does that happen? Check for end of battle. This is only done when we advance to the next stage, which is never going to happen. Or... Wait, what? Oh, I see. There it is. Oh, it's just done every single frame. So it's not... So then whatever I'm doing is pointless. Yeah. All right, well, let's still track this down. What happens? Battle stage ended. Then this calls up into the regular battle system. We call into this. We go over to here. Battle stage ended. At some point, we generate loot. We don't even give you the loot yet. Yeah, we just generate it. The thing that gives it to you is... the end battle screen. I don't think this can cause an error. Yeah, we don't see it happening here. Hey, Goose. Well, then all of this means is that the bug is not caused by an exception. It's caused by just some normal logic error, which means it's going to be hard to track down. All right, I guess we'll write this down then. Where do we ghost items? Yeah. Intermittent scenario. Hey, Codex. Yeah, the problem is this. We sometimes end up with items just stuck on this part of the path, and you can't click them, and workers can't get them either. So your eye is attracted to this, and you're like, oh, there's a sword. I want to sell that, right? And you try grabbing it, and you can't. It doesn't exist. And this has existed for a very long time, and I don't know how it happened, and I've done a bunch of little investigations and still can't figure it out. You know what I guess the way we would probably figure it out would be, maybe what we should do is try just changing code to get this to happen. Yeah, that's the last thing I can think. I'll write that down though. Maybe try changing code until this happens, and then reason about how we could get those code changes to occur. All right, let's copy this here. So Athena Dragon hit this on Twitch in her playthrough. I asked her for the log files, and since she was on B0712, she didn't have... I gotta go find the fix. This. She didn't have the fix to 597. 597, so I thought... So she hit a bunch of this exception. Must be an item with collisions disabled. That could be a clue. Also can't pick them, so maybe a worker was holding them. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. The only other one that she hit was this one. Only other exception that she hit was this one. I looked into the invalid operation exception and tried adding this to what, effect system? Yeah. Added this code to simulate an error by changing this code. But well, I mean, the bug never happened. And what else? And I don't even think it could happen from this. The end of the battle is checked on the next frame, not the current one. And we do all of the item stuff at once such that the effect system shouldn't be able to preempt that. Not even preempt that. I'll just say shouldn't come into play. Okay, yeah. So there are two main things that we're seeing. An item is at 0, 0, or maybe like 0, -4 or something like that, but close enough to 0, 0. And the item doesn't have collision because you can't click it. Normally, yeah, there's a clickable area. Input pickable is set to true or false. Do we ever set this to false? This is before items animated themselves going to display, so the animation speed shouldn't matter here. But then we do have the item collision stuff. Turn off collision. I'm guessing it's this. Something calls turn off collision, but such that a worker doesn't actually have the item at some point. All right, well, where do we call this? Thought bubble. Oh man, what if it's that? Oh man, okay. I never even thought about that. It could be, and I never would have even. I guess I would have tested this stuff. But yeah, it could be that a thought bubble item is somehow getting created. Its position would be pretty close to the origin. It's 1414. I don't know how it could get added to the wrong. Like we add it to a thought bubble. We don't see the thought bubble. And we add the thought bubble to the entity. The entity would be a customer in this case. Maybe an assert could help. It might. I still want to think what are the scenarios where this could happen, and then I want to test some things out. But I don't have enough to go off of yet. What else we have? Item was picked up. So yeah, let's write down all the places where this happens. When a customer desires an item and it shows in a thought bubble. When an item was picked up. Item was picked up by what? Oh, you or an entity. By you or an entity. What's this? When it's on a display. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Wait, what? Why does that make any sense? What is that? What? Wait, no. Collision's not what I want. Oh, darn it. Collision just means that the items won't bounce off the walls. Oh, man. It's the clickability of the item, which we only set in... Yeah, it's whether or not it's clickable. Where's... Something's missing here. A worker, when they pick this up, it should stop it from being clickable. Huh. I don't understand why that happens. Okay, let's back up a step. There's onClicked here. Something's missing. Oh, I see. The item display has the click handler. Oh God, this is very difficult. So what? This has a click handler too? It does. Okay, yeah, it's not collision. An item can't be clicked. The item holder is what handles clickability, e.g. the item display or the ground item source. So, and it's only those two things, right? There's nothing else that can hold an item. Yeah, it's either the ground or it's an item display. And let's look at both of those. So when an item is removed from an item display, we remove the click handler. That's fine, but then we should add a click handler when it's added again. But it's not on an item display. And when this happens, I don't think we've seen, I haven't really probably fully tested it, but I don't think we've seen an item display just not get used ever again. I don't recall if we tested that. So then it would be a ground item source not having the click handler. But as soon as we make a ground item source, we add an onClick function. Huh. No, but there's remove item. So remove item is called and then something happens such that there's an item on the ground, but we don't ever get set item called again. Where's this thing called from? The constructor. Restore item. Where's restore item? Player held item is the only place it does it. Yeah, because I guess customers never dropped it on the ground, but a worker or an adventurer can. So how does that happen? Customer goes into the portal, they drop their items. Enter portal? There's some portal state. Where is that? Walking to portal? Ah, there it is. In portal state. All right, well, it's one of these things. I don't know where exactly. Drop off item. Waiting for battle to start. It's got to be in here somewhere. Let's just go over to this. Game source states and held item component. So an item click handler is getting removed, but then when the item itself needs to get removed, the null exception is thrown. No, there's no exception in this case. It's just the item is not clickable anymore. I don't know what makes workers or adventurers even drop their item. Let's just search for this across the whole code base. Held item component. We have this that I don't care about, this that I don't care about, this I don't care about. That I don't care about. What's this code? Oh, drop item held by entity. That's exactly what I want. On drop item. Enter portal. Okay, cool. Yeah, that. Hey, Lemmy. Okay, so this is what I think is possibly happening, and I'm not totally sure. I think it has to do with an adventurer dropping their item when they enter the portal. But we tested this. We tested this by making workers just randomly drop their items before, right? But there's got to be some other component to this, some other piece of the race condition puzzle that I haven't figured out. Adventurers drop their items when they enter the portal, which does what exactly? It spawns an item on the ground. Cause the item to be spawned on the ground. And at the same time, we remove that it was held by that. So what does this do? This creates an item. It makes a ground item source, which by doing this is going to give it an on-click handler. So it can't be that on its own. There's got to be remove item being called on this at some point. But once we do that, we're going to add this to a list of things that's going to remove this thing too. Yeah. All right. I don't think it's this. I don't know what it is though. So I guess hunches here. If the item has to be on an item display or on the ground. If it's on an item display, then it probably means we would see an item display go unused and that the position of this thing is just wrong. AM2, happy Friday. That means it's more likely to be on the ground. But then how can this happen if it's on the ground? The only way for it to not have, let's see, we would remove the on click here. We would also set the item to null and then remove this thing completely. What's last item position? You restore the item. Oh, if you right click to drop it. So you picking it up makes the most sense. Means it's most likely to be a problem with the player picking the item up. Import support. Oh, nice. Get some validation. All right, let's start inspecting the item pickup code from here then. So something makes it so that you pick this up. Start holding item. I guess you'd have to stop holding it at some point. Maybe it's you. Oh, maybe. Could there be two handlers for something somehow? Like you drag an item to the garbage slime and it also somehow gets triggered by the tavern. I don't really know how that could cause this problem though. But it would mean that this is not considered a ground item. Yeah, so then, okay, that's, okay. If it's on the ground, then I think it has to have an on-click handler. So I think the item actually doesn't have an item display or a ground item source as its parent. I think it's just a floating entity somewhere. Also, we saw that this is happening for multiple items at once. So it's not like, yeah, like here you see an armor and then on top of it you see a weapon. So it's not that the player held item is just getting stuck on screen because that's only one. Although it could be maybe that this is happening. Let's see. Set the position of this to the global mouse position. Add child. If only I could repro this, we could look at the scene tree and see if this is the problem here. That would make this very obvious. Yeah, we clone an item, we add it here. So what happens when we get rid of it? And then we said it's clickable to false, yeah. What does happen when we get rid of it? What? There should be a remove child in here somewhere and there isn't. I guess we queue free the item? We don't though. Okay, hold on. I guess we get the held item here, so we might do it down here. Yeah, there it is. We queue free it there or there. So is there a way for this to not actually free the item somehow? I don't think so. Unless this can somehow fail. Can this not call the callback? Tweener.finish call the callback. So in order for this to not call a callback, this would have to not finish. And this can't not finish. It's got a duration that's clamped between the minimum and the maximum. So at worst, it could take 0.6 seconds, but it's going to finish. But also, this code didn't exist back when the bug existed at first. So I don't think that's a problem. And then down here, we free this thing anyway. So either we're going to hit this code, and this is guaranteed to get hit, or we're going to hit this code, and this is guaranteed to get hit. Either way, we're going to free the item as soon as we call stop holding item. So maybe stop holding item isn't ever called. What if, okay, let's try that out. What if we didn't call this? On clicked item destination. I'll just comment this out. I don't know what this is going to do. All right, so let's build the garbage slime and then save and then try dragging this cloak into the slime. Yeah, look, it's stuck. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. And it's not like you can click those things. But they were getting stuck on the 0, 0 part of the path. So what would that mean? Let's try dragging a potion over to here. No, it's not that. Also now it thinks I'm like permanently stuck holding an item. It's pretty close to what the bug is. So it can't just be this. Do we change the position anywhere? Get global mouse position. I mean, technically the mouse could have been at 0, 0, but everyone was having that happen. And what are the odds they were all hovering over exactly the same place? So I don't think it's that. And there's nothing else that lets us. It must be when adding it as a child somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe something else is repositioning it afterward. Item.clone, then we add this thing here. Oh, wait. Maybe, okay, yeah. We got to figure out where this is being positioned because maybe the positioning never happens then. But I can't figure that part out yet. We never set this thing's, oh, we do right there. Yeah. So you pick up an item and then you drop it on the exact same frame. But stop holding item is never called. Drop item. Where else should this be called from? Only two places. In pick up item. We stop holding the original one. I'm so close to figuring this out. The positioning of the item happens in process. So we somehow need to pick up an item and drop it on the same frame so that the item is never positioned. It's got to be that. But how could you even do that? Actually, let's not even try to answer that question. Let's just try to make that happen. And then if that repros the bug, let's figure out how to answer that question. Could you... Yeah, I'm still trying to answer the question, even though I just said I shouldn't. But I wonder if you could somehow send 2 click events in a single frame. You don't need to be in a single frame, though. It just needs to be before the next process. But that might not work. Hang on a second. Let me think about this. Let's go back to process for a sec. Let's turn this off. Is that cursor? No, this is VS Code. Welcome in, Harry. And then the stop holding item. Let's turn this off. I think this is going to cause it to get positioned at 0, 0 and get stuck there forever. But this is by me like thoroughly cheating how this thing works. So we load the game. We drag an item here. Yeah, oh, right there. Just clicking an item. Yeah, I had that happen. It's kind of funny to look at that. Actually, wait a second. That's not where this happens, is it? Look, the fence is right there. Where's the fence in the picture? Oh, no, it is right there. Well, well, well. We're one step closer to figuring this out then. Clicking an item at the same time the worker was trying to pick it up. Yeah, but I don't think that's... Maybe that's the case. But maybe it can be done entirely within this class. So yeah, we need to beat this to process. The only way for that to happen is holding item to be false. Or it's for displayed held item to point to something else. Yeah, so there are only two ways to not position the item. Is holding item is false by the time we hit process, or what's the other one? Displayed held item. Displayed held item has changed by the time we hit process. Oh, that's unfortunate. It interpreted this whole thing as being italicized because there were 2 underscores. But I had a backtick before the second underscore. Okay, so how can either of those things happen? What sets this to false? There should only be like one thing in the entire class that sets this to false. Oh, there's nothing. It's computed. If the item source is not null and it has an item. So yeah, could something take the item from you? In which case that would be like a worker picking it up, I guess. This is so difficult. Set is held true. We set this to held immediately. And if it's held, then workers shouldn't be able to pick it up, right? Pick up item is held. If it has an item and it's held, then just turn around. When we reach the target, though, we don't check to see if it's held. So it's possible that you click it on the frame right before they reach it, I guess. Okay, well, let's try that. No, wait, no, it's got to be on that frame. We can't just do this, right? Let's turn this off. So now, even if you're holding an item, a worker can try taking it from you. And then let's put this back to where it was and the stop holding item thing back to where it was. Question is this enough? Because I guess it is possible this happens. So grant items. I'm going to click this item. So I'm holding a blue potion right now. And now I'm going to make a bunch of workers. And nothing's going to stop them from picking up that potion. No, something's stopping them. Oh, I can't drop this anymore either. Did something break? I shouldn't have any other changes, do I? This doesn't matter. We can delete this. And this doesn't matter either. Delete all this stuff. Okay. Oh, I think I know. They need to target the item. I don't know why I can't drop this. What is going on? I don't even have any other changes. Or, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I should be able to drop it still. No, I can't even right click to drop this anymore. I don't have any other code changes. I'm so confused. This code has nothing to do with the right click handler. Is there some other bug that's causing right click to not work? That's weird. I could still do that. Oh man, something broke. Okay, let's put this code back to what it was. That shouldn't matter at all, but somehow I can't right click to drop an item. Maybe it thinks we're clicking something else. I don't know how that would be the case. Yeah, I still can't drop this. I have to pick up another item for it to work. Okay, let's go figure out what this thing thinks we're clicking. Yeah. So we go to debugger, misc. Oh, this won't even load. Which means main unset. Yeah, it unset this thing again. No, stop it. Yeah, I can't drop it. And what does it think we're clicking? Town view container. VBox container. Yeah, it thinks we're clicking a sub viewport container, which we are. Huh. That's strange. We have it so that when you press right click, it doesn't propagate this thing. So that it gets handled inside the... Man, this is weird. This is not even the bug. This is just right click doesn't work to drop items anymore. Yeah, this is getting hit. So it knows we right clicked. And this is the whole reason I added this code in the first place. Okay, let's try something else. Let's do open export a Mac build. Did I break this in the Steam version? Or is this something new? So this is the version that's on Steam. I'm gonna just load a game. That way we have battlers and stuff. And then send them into battle. We need an item to exist. And there's no way to speed this up, sorry. Yeah, so we just need to wait for them to finish a battle, and then I need to grab the item before the skeleton does. No, that's working. I can drop this. So I didn't break it in the Steam version, but I don't have any changes myself, which means that maybe it broke from one of the changes that just made it in the log. Refactor scene structure to have a permanent scene root. It might be this. Maybe this has a mouse handler that it shouldn't have or something. I guess it's got to be that, right? We could try going back to the old commit and seeing if that works. How would that have changed things, though? It would mean that this is a child of this. Does this have a mouse handler? It says stop. Yeah, maybe if we set this to ignore, it'll work. Oh, let's try it. Although it's not like we were clicking that, so I'm not really sure how that could be the problem. No, it's still not working. What? Is this set to the wrong thing? This is also set to stop. Okay, let's set both of these to ignore. Oh, that worked. Okay, yeah, problem solved. Okay, great. So that's not the problem we were trying to fix, but that's a very, very severe problem. So let's go and check that in. I wonder if this is going to cause any other issues. Let's try this out. Well, I don't have a way of getting to the intro anymore. os.has feature debug. We're looking for a specific one of these. There it is. How are they handling it before the viewport inside? I don't know. Hey, Mars. Satellite navigation. Mr. Balrog used to come in with jokes like that. What did I even just do? Oh yeah, I made it so that I can go to this. I just need to make sure I can click this button, which yes, I can. Okay, cool. Well, whatever. Anyway, that problem's fixed. Let's check that in. So we just changed this. fix bug with dropping items. The new scene root was capturing right click so that you couldn't drop items anymore. Okay, so now we can get back to the repro we were trying to do. Turn this off, turn this on. And now workers can pick up an item from you, assuming they were going to it before you clicked it. Yeah. So if I do this, and then I click this one, they took it, and now it's stuck. Oh, but right clicking makes it unstick itself. Unless maybe the item goes away first. So I click this, I click this. Now let's wait for this worker to sell that item. So there, and now someone's gonna buy it. And now I'm gonna right click to drop this. No, it's just gone. What does this tell us? It means that this is not enough to repro the issue. Although it could be that I need to do this at exactly the right time. Hey, Javalden. Thank you for the resub. Be 2.5 years. Oh, man. All right, let's go back to my fact-finding mission here. Is holding items false by the time we hit process? How could that be true? Where held item? Oh, let's get rid of this. Is holding item is whether or not the source has an item. What happens when you right click? What even handles that? Huh. I don't know what handles that. Something's got to call drop off item. But there's no right click handler. Just mouse button dot left. I guess let's search for mouse button dot right. There should be very few of those in the game. Here it is. Yeah, drop item. Drop item calls stop holding item. Hang on a second. Wait, so could I try? This is probably stupid. But what happens if we call that as soon as we pick up an item? So we call pick up item, and then I immediately call drop off item. Is that what the function is even called? No, drop item. Drop item. And then it takes an argument. What's that argument? True. What's a true? Play sound? Oh, I don't care about sound. Right? That's just for a sound. Yeah. Don't care about that. So we're going to call stop holding item immediately. Is that enough to cause this problem to happen? Interesting. It just makes it float from the 0 position to wherever it is. Huh. So that's not the issue, probably. Fly item to source. It could be if this is ever set to false, which is literally only here, which is on clicked item destination. Okay. Let's try that. So as soon as you pick up an item, let's act like you clicked the garbage slime. I don't Maybe it's possible. Maybe it involves lag somehow. Yeah, so now I click an item and it immediately goes to the garbage slime. There's no error here. It's doing what I would expect if you could somehow click that fast. All right, so then I don't think it has to do with this side of things that we are no longer holding the item. There was another way that this could get hit, though, that we changed displayed held item. So what if we could pick up 2 items on the same frame? Pick up item. How would we even set that up? Clicked item source. So we need to have clicked item source get called on multiple items. Ground item source. Clicked item source. We need an event. Oh, God. Okay, hold on. So let's say this hunch I have is even correct. What would this mean that someone would have to do? Their computer would have to lag a ton, or they need to click 2 different item sources within like 20 milliseconds of one another. How fast can a human click a mouse? Is it 20 milliseconds? I don't know. I don't see a thing for this. Would the app pick up a right click if the mouse is outside the app window? I don't think so. I also don't think that would be a problem here. Well, anyway, the thing I said about lag could make it so that this is all doable. Maybe there's some hiccup and a process takes like half a second, in which case half a second is definitely long enough to click 2 different items. I want to simulate this. I just don't know an easy way how. Maybe we can fake a mouse button. Alternatively, what are we using the mouse button for? Maybe we can just get rid of that. Pick up item. Item source. Use action menu. Okay, so that can be set to false. So we just need to call pickup item on a bunch of item sources. And this is public. So yeah, sure. Let's just write some function that does this. Ground items. All right, is this a node? It is, which means we can get unhandled input, which means we can make a fake function here that is going to debug, pick up several items, and then go write this. Do we have access to player held item here? Yeah, we do. Okay, so items on ground. There's a has item, isn't there? Yeah, so if it has an item and it's not held, then pick up item. No argument given that corresponds to the required parameter, use action menu. Argument cannot convert from item to item source. There, done. Okay, let's try that out. So now when we press page up, it's going to try picking up every single item that's on the ground. Funny, but yeah, not exactly what I wanted. Wow. So I tried allowing workers to take an item from me. Picking up every item on the ground at the same time. Dropping an item on the same, dropping an item as soon as we pick the item up. What if this is so difficult? What if we just return from here? What would happen? means that anytime you pick up an item, it's not going to get repositioned onto the mouse. So it'll just get set to 0, 0. So now it's there. But then when you right click, it puts it back to where it should go. Maybe people weren't ever right clicking though for some reason. Maybe two bugs were coming into play. Maybe a worker picked this up at the same time that you grabbed it, and then the worker went and sold it, so you didn't think there was a thing on your mouse anymore. So you never right clicked. Except for the right click to drop still shows up there. So I would have seen that happen, right? Oh man, this is so difficult. Okay, let's try something else. I don't think it's this. I don't think it's it is holding item is false. I don't think is holding item is false by the time we get to the next process. I think it's that the displayed held item is changed. So let's just change it, right? We set this to null somewhere. What if we just set it to null as soon as you pick up an item? Set this to null. There. Just not even going to try to figure out how that could happen. Oh, hey, that did it. Well, look at that. There's our bug. And now right-clicking does not fix it. And then what happens to these items? Do they disappear? Do they stay there forever? It looks like they're going to stay there forever. Which is not part of the bug that we're seeing. Can I click them again? I can hover over them. Does it persist across save and load? No, it doesn't. If I save and load this, it should go away. Yeah. If I just set this to null as soon at the bottom of whatever that function is, pick up item, then they do indeed get stuck at the 0, 0 point on the path. But they also get stuck at their original sources. Oh, but what if their original source is an item display? Does that change things? So we give the warehouse and we do this, and we click one of these. Now that item is just faded out though. No, so this can't be the full repro here. Alternatively, maybe this did happen. I have a video with a repro. I can go look at it really fast. I just can't show it on stream. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Oh, okay, let me look at this. This is already muted. Yeah, let me look at these phantom items and see what happened. I'm just watching her video off screen really fast. Except for I can't find where it's happening. Oh, wait, there we go. Okay. So here's a picture of what she encountered. She has these items here. There's a potion and a cane. And no items in the item displays over here. And no items on the ground. Does she ever look at the rest of the warehouse? Just so I know. Oh, and this occurred at the beginning of the video? Oh, okay. So she definitely does not have. Yeah, she definitely does not have any items over there. Here's what we can see. We see the items here stuck on the path. There's nothing in the warehouse. There's nothing on the ground. However, what if it is on the ground and you can't see it because when items are about to disappear, they fade out and it was like perfectly faded out. How does that look? They don't go fully transparent. But this could happen on the same frame that an item was about to disappear. But what are the odds of that? But wait, I have the other video. I could just look at the other video, right? Maybe. Give me a sec. I'm like binary searching through the video to see where this thing happened. Because maybe I can see exactly when it took place. She's got the buildings menu open. If she didn't have the buildings menu open, I could see this. Oh, just click the close button. Hang on, I'm trying to find this. Upgrade the shop. Sorry, I'm doing this off screen because I never asked for permission to broadcast the video. And I have all this context here. Okay. Here's what I think. From watching the video, it happens at almost exactly this time. However, I don't see her clicking anything. Yeah, it's not there, and then it is there somehow. She hasn't clicked anything. Did anything strange happen with the workers? Maybe a worker takes an item like as soon as it appears in the warehouse. But that's not happening here. She upgraded the weapon shop. But a cane and a potion are stuck. So it's not just a weapon. Sorry, I'll stop looking at this in a sec because I know this is not interactive or understandable at all. Can a worker pick up multiple things? Okay, whatever. I'll link this in a chat if anyone sees anything interesting going on in this video, but okay, well then maybe my train of thought was not correct here. I thought this would have to do with holding an item, but she never really clicked something. Although maybe she clicked through a dialogue. I mean, this happens from a worker. How could a worker do this? I don't think they can. What happens when they pick up an item? We remove it from the source. And we call item as picked up. Stop flashing, turn off collision. And add a held item component, which should add the item to the entity. Yeah, it does that. And it adds it at this position. So we are actually changing the position of the item. But since we're adding it to the entity, it'll get positioned relative to where the entity is. But once we remove it, maybe it's possible we remove it from here, but never actually set it somewhere else. If the entity is disposed, we don't have to do anything. This shouldn't matter for the sake of normal gameplay. This is only when you clean up. So wow, there's only this. So we need to look for remove component, HC, or held item component. Excuse me, this is gonna be a pain to search for. Here are two of them. Drop item held by entity and reached target. She didn't have item stacking at that time. I don't think. Darn it, hang on, let me watch the video again. No item stacking, I think. She opened the perks just before that, so I should be able to find that. At least I think she did. No. Items aren't stacking anywhere. That should be enough proof that she doesn't have item stacking. You can add some code to item nuts. Yeah, so it's ever the child is something unexpected. It logs some data. Yeah, that could potentially work too. Could always just add some logs in case this happens again. If an item is in the same position for like greater than 5 minutes, then it's probably an instance of this bug. She doesn't have item stacking. Okay, so doesn't have item stacking comes into play because of this. Remaining quantity then will always be less than or equal to 0. So we remove this component, which is going to remove the item graphic. And at this point now, the item is an orphan. And it has its original position again. But then we call drop off item on this thing. Can drop off item fail? They're probably just putting it into a shop most of the time. How does this work? Closest destination drop off item. So it's going to be an item display. It's going to be this. New item. There's something in that like 30 seconds. The problem is this would be so easy to figure out if where's the video? Did I close it again? I closed again. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so this would be so easy to figure out if this menu weren't open. But whenever this happens, this menu is covering the items. Right now it's not. You can see the items right there. But it's covering where the items are. So there's like a 30-second window in which this happened. We don't know where in that 30 seconds. But if we did know where in the 30 seconds, it could potentially let us figure out what caused it exactly. Because we'd be able to see what action just happened. Wait, is it maybe two entities putting an item down at the same time? Or trying to? What if as soon as a worker picked up an item, we just had them drop it off to wherever its location is without having to reach the target? Would that help us at all? So here's reach target. What if we just randomly called this? Yeah, why not? All right, so state process. Okay, let's do this. So you need to have a target location component and an item target. So here we have an item target. Here's if it won't accept an item. And if item target both with an item, make them target the same destination. Seems tricky. Yeah, it does seem tricky. So we're gonna make a 10% chance that they just call reach target without actually reaching there. So workers are gonna teleport their items to destinations. This is on process, so 10% is practically like 100% because of how often this gets called. But let's try and just see what happens. So we're gonna make an item, and a worker's gonna make it over here, and as soon as they do, they're just gonna like fling it into this shop. At least I think that's what's gonna happen. Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna do that same thing, but we're gonna build all the shops. We're gonna make 1,000,000 customers. We're gonna fully upgrade the shops. We're gonna add a lot of workers, and now we're going to grant a bunch of items. It looks incredibly cool to see this happen. And yet, it does not seem like this is causing the problem. Let's speed everything up. When do we get this perk? It would be pretty cool. Yeah, this isn't causing any bugs. We're seeing the bug happen, but that's because I'm clicking items now. And that's because I made the bug happen when you do that. All right, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. If only if only I could have figured out how to get this to happen. We've had, I'm going to make up a number here, like 5 reports over the last year of this happening. So it's not even very common amongst the player base. And sometimes, even if it happens, people don't notice it. Like I was watching this person's videos on YouTube, so I saw it, but they never commented. With existing pots, is that one guy who picks one up? Seems innocent. Wonder if it's related to the battle ending somehow. Um, Hang on a second. Let me think about this. Held item component keeps track of where the item started. But if the item started on an item display, then it's going to be at 0, 0. So when we remove this and then we set the item position, this will get set to 0, 0. But now, no, it won't even exist in the scene tree though. Yeah. It needs to get reparented somewhere. And the only way it can get reparented is either here onto the ground, in which case its position is reset, or here. Something would need to go wrong. We're dropping off the item at a new target. I guess it could be on pickup. And if there is remaining quantity, then add it right back to the worker. Okay, let's look at pickup item. Yeah, maybe it's happening from this. I never even thought it could happen from this, but yeah, maybe. So we get to a target. It's an item source. If it doesn't have an item, we just don't do anything. If it does have an item, we remove it from the source, say that it was picked up, add it to the entity. I don't see any problems. Man. Yeah, I don't know. I've basically wasted all morning looking into this. Oh man. All right, well, let's write down the findings over here. I spent a while investigating this. Yeah. But I didn't learn a whole lot. So for one, here's the spot in Dina Dragon's video where the issue occurs. Unfortunately, the available buildings menu is covering the 0, 0 on the map most of the time. So it's difficult to pinpoint when exactly the issue happened. From what I can see, she wasn't clicking any items, so this potentially happens without user intervention. She upgraded the weapon shop, but a cane and a potion were both stuck. So it's probably not important to the repro. And she doesn't have item stacking. When I tried setting up some states directly via code, the closest I came to reproing this was whatever I have done in the code right now, actually. Yeah, here. Just setting displayed held item to null at the bottom of pickup item. Didn't I write this down? No. I'll just copy paste the whole thing. I added this line so that process won't get a chance to position the item. Yeah. The problem with this is that the items would still appear to be stuck at their sources as well, which is not the case in the repro video. Yeah, we never figured out how to make that the case. Yeah, I guess I'll copy these things. Other things I tried. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the item doesn't have an item display or a ground item source as its parent. Otherwise, 0, 0 would refer to a totally different position. Actually, that's not entirely true, is it? Where are ground items? Town scene. Should be, there's an items node. It's probably that. Oops. Town, ground items, ground items. Where are you? Do we make this? No, we fetch it. Yeah, it's items. Yeah, I still don't think this is the case though. If it were an item display, then 0, 0 would refer to a different position. If it were a ground item source, then the constructor would set the position. APX. All right. Yeah, I'm stuck earlier than that link. They just scroll up a little bit. Wait, really? Okay, that drastically changes things. And thank you for looking at that. And let me give you a point. When you say a little bit earlier, did you pinpoint exactly when? Oh, I just meant in this 30-second window. Yeah, it is a little earlier than that, but I can't tell where. What did I link to? 2417. 2417 divided by 60. 0.28333 times 60. So I linked to 40 minutes, 17 seconds. Wait. Oh, wait. Oh, we can, okay, we can see it's at 39:54 is when it starts. Well. Or at least that's when it's first visible. So what happened before that? And when can we verify that it definitely was not a problem? Okay, so it wasn't a problem as of 39:44. Was a problem as of 39:54. 38:32, but that's not its spawning, just present. Wait, at 38:32. Oh, weird. Wait, that's very weird because hang on a second. What in the world? Okay, this is news. This is definitely news. Yeah. Uh, Hang on. I should just message her and ask if I can show this video on my stream. No, she's yellow on Discord, so probably she won't see this. Would you mind if I showed a part of your VOD on my stream? Trying to investigate the issue, and I don't want to. Okay. 3614 is when it spawns. And yes, it's exactly when the user clicks while the skeleton goes to grab it. Really? Okay, let me see. Wait, the cane also showed up though. When did the cane show up? And what's fixing this stuff? Sorry, I'm all over the place. Let me show my chat on screen. Yeah, okay. So I don't know when the cane showed up. But yes, that's when the potion showed up. Oh, cool. Dina responded. Okay, yeah. She said just give me credit for the VOD. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, this is Dina Dragon. I can at least do this on screen now, so we can try to figure this out. It's not getting fixed. The screen just goes down, putting them out of view, just barely out of sight. Okay. So at 3614 is when we see this happen with a potion. So you can see her move the mouse there, and then she clicks at the same time that a worker goes over there. The quick move menu is pretty new, so I don't think it had to do with that. But yeah, very, very weird. Oh, and you can see it go onto the worker as well. Yeah. Why can't we repro this though? Oh God, now we're gonna still investigate this more, aren't we? All right, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna do this. Original comment and new finding. Codex DG pointed out that we actually can see the repro in the video at exactly here. When she picks up the blue potion, a worker also takes it, and you see the potion appear on the ground and above the worker. Okay. I'm going to comment this. We're going to find the source of this. It tells. Did you fix the issue you had the other day with certain shops being visited more often? Like more or less, yeah. There's still a little bit of work to be done. The worker takes it and trashes it, so the asset that should be stuck does leave. Wait, trashes it. Hang on, let me look at the rest of this. So what is the worker doing with that potion? They're going down there. Then they put it in the... Oh, no, wait, it doesn't go away. Oh, well, the one that they're holding goes away. Yeah, so they put the potion away. Interesting. Interesting. We are going to get to this. We're going to figure it out. The worker then deposits the potion into the extractor. That's another thing I hadn't thought of. Wait, no, but this happens with the canes as well. Yeah, so the extractor is not important here. The extractor itself probably isn't important since this can happen with canes too. No, it's definitely not important. Yeah. It's just got to have a destination for this thing. Nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. I'm gonna do this. Whatever. That's it. We're figuring this out today. That's the new goal. So we know that it happens when you click an item as soon as a worker does. So that means that it's either you click first and then the worker takes it, or the worker takes it and then you click it. And we got to figure out which one of those it can be. So let's close out everything else. And let's also get rid of any changes that we have here, because none of this should be important, right? Yeah, no, this should not be important. This should not be important. This I'll leave but comment it out. Okay. So, clicked item source. Clicked item. There's clicked item destination. That's pretty much what we want, I guess. I bet that means you 1 second. Yeah, that's actually true. Worker ends up with the item, so it's probably this. So that means that a worker could pick up an item from you. Oh, because the item source still has the item? We don't check if it's held. Okay, yeah, I think that's the problem. I still want to fully investigate this. Yeah, so what's happening here is we check to see if the item is held in state process, but then reaching the target happens from a different thing altogether. And we just assume that this condition holds, but that's probably not the case. Also, I feel like, let me shout out Tina Dragon for streaming this in the first place. There we go. She does, from what I can tell, a lot of variety content, and she makes actually a decent amount of videos. Okay, so it's probably this. You're reaching the target when the item is held. So how about we put a breakpoint here? If, actually, I guess we could do this. If item source dot get item dot is held, then throw new exception The bug happened on its own. Capillara, thanks for the resub. How you doing? Happy 62 months. Yeah. Yeah, what a long time. All right, so we're reasonably certain that this could happen here. Can we make this happen? I guess we could just get rid of this line of code, right? If it no longer has the item. Launching product tomorrow. Nice. You excited? Also, Saturday launch. Interesting. Is it a personal project or a business project? Or like a work project, I guess I should say. All right, so we need the warehouse. Let's just get this. And then I'll just grant most things. Then we need to do this. Then we need to take the item that a worker takes. So let's just hold that one. And a worker should eventually come take this from me, I guess. Oh, that broke everything. Oh, no, that's the bug happening. Yeah, so let's turn off the exception. Because that was stupid. SaaS products, Shopify quiz recommendations to help buyers guide them to the right product. Submitting the Shopify App Store, so silent launch. And is it a personal thing or is it something you're doing for your employer? Because that's interesting. If that sort of thing works, it's just gonna increase the amount of money flowing through Shopify. What is your monetization for it? Or is it a free thing? Okay, so we're going to do this again. We're going to do this. We're going to click one of these. And I probably shouldn't have done it this way. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. All right, are they going to take this cane? Come on. Come on, skeleton. You can do it. Oh, they won't pick it up because they don't have the weapon shop. Now they'll pick it up. Okay, so they took it out of my hands. But it's showing up over here. Oh my God. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, this is 100% definitely the bug. And the reason why it's showing over here is because I managed to keep it for longer than one frame on my mouse. But I could right click to drop it. That part's weird. What if they sold it before that? Then it goes away for good? So they're bringing that cloak. It's that one, I'm pretty sure. We gotta wait for that one to be sold. And let's just make 1 million customers. I'm not gonna wait for this. There, now I don't know which cloak it is, but it should be gone. Right clicking still let me drop it though. But maybe that's because we're still holding this for a frame too long. Huh. Monthly fee. Oh, cool. Well, I wish you the best of luck. That's super cool. All right, so I think this is the repro, and I think all we need to do is make this happen on exactly the right frame. If the original item gets trashed, does right click still apply? Yeah, but I think the reason why this is happening is because we're allowing a worker to take however long they want getting there. I think the original repro is that we need to have that happen before we even hit process. So it's based on a bunch of conditions being met. Already found an infinite cloak or money glitch? No, this doesn't actually duplicate items. This just makes a visual artifact. So the item doesn't exist anymore, but you think it exists. So it's actually the worst kind of bug. How's it coming along? It's coming along really well. Next Fest is in what, 10 days? I think it's in 10 days. So I am hoping that brings a lot of eyes to Skeleseller. Okay. How do we do this then? We need as soon as you've picked up an item, so like in here, we need to set some flag that then forces a worker to also pick up the item. Hey, IWQ. You still stream? Nice to stop by. It's been years. You were the one who really got me to learn programming. Oh, nice. Welcome back. What was your name back then? Because I see this one was created about a year ago. But yeah, we've been working on Skeleseller for a while now. Check it out. All right, so how would we even do this? We need a worker who's also going to that item to then immediately make it to their target. Okay, this is going to be a nightmare to code. This doesn't even have access to the town. Ugh. Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare to code. Okay, let's try it. So what are we going to do? We're going to get the item that you picked up, which I guess we already have. So we know that you picked it up. Start holding item. What is this set to true? It sets item source, and that's public. And the worker is targeting a target item source, which should also have an item source. It does. Yeah, so all we need to do is get this from inside the navigation system. No, we can't do that. We can't do it from process either, right? Reach thing. Can't be in any of that. Okay, what if... God. I don't know how to do this. we need a worker to basically like teleport to a location, but only on the exact same like frame that you pick this up, and it can't be done through process because that might be the next frame. So it's essentially got to be that when you click the item, so as soon as I say start holding item, like at the bottom of this code, we need to say make a worker do something, but it's got to be a worker that was already targeting this item to begin with. All right, I guess then that's what we can probably do. Make a worker move at 0 pixels per second, and then on this frame, make them pick up the item. So to do make a worker pick up the item right now. Could we shortcut any of this? I believe Vesper or something. It was a long time ago, mostly lurked. Well, cool. Yeah, welcome back. Are you back on Twitch or are you just passing through for now? Is there no way of having the item slot component be thread safe? I put that in quotes. I think the solution is very, very simple. I'll say that. I think all we need to do is just put this if statement here and we're done. But I'm still trying to understand the problem to figure out exactly how this happened. Yeah. So essentially think of the lock as like, is the item being held? And we just weren't checking the lock. So we already kind of have a mutex and we just ignored it. And by the way, the reason I ignored this is because we have a process function here that did check to see if it was held. But that's not sufficient because this process is run separately from the one that calls this. So we need to check the condition again to make sure that it's still true. So like I said, I think the solution is like dead simple. I just want to repro the bug. But it's very hard to do that. So we need a worker to pick this up right now. Maybe, you know what? How about this? Let's not even worry about this. Let's just do this stuff. Yeah, let's just do this stuff. So we'll just find an idle worker. In fact, let's have every worker be idle. Yeah. That's what we can do. Okay, so let's just get any worker. Town.workers 0. So worker equals this. Why is that not valid? Because that's a node. Sure, fine, whatever, I don't care. So that's the worker. And now we want to make them pick this up. So add a held item component. Item. Then transition them into drop-off item. That I don't know if we can do. Oh, they have that already. So we don't even need to transition them in here. They'll transition themselves. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Okay, so now we need them to never pick up an item on their own. So worker wander. Where do we find item and pick up? Just never call this function. Yeah, there. Just passing through before I finish on my chores. Saw your stream. Immediately got a flood of memories. Oh man, nice. Yeah. Are you working in the industry? Well, I did stop streaming for a little while because I was working at Google. Yeah, different times. Different times. Okay, I think we've done this. Let's go try it. All right, so what's going to happen here? We're going to take our first worker, and as soon as I pick up any item, it's going to immediately have the worker pick up that same item, which should repro the bug. So I'm going to do this, and then just click this. And now the worker is holding it. Yeah, perfect. There it is. And I can right click to drop it though. That part's strange. Maybe. That part is strange. And it doesn't matter if they purchase it too, it's still there. What if. No, I don't know. Let me try one more time, but this time have them bring it down to here. Oh wait, but what if you click another item? I didn't think about that. If I just click another one of these. Aha! Is that the bug? Wait. No, but I need the repro to not happen on the second item that I pick up, only the first item. So we want this to only happen the first time. So yeah, let's just do private bool force repro equals true. And if force repro, then set this to false and do this. Okay. So what are we going to do here? We're going to pick up an item. The worker's going to take it from us immediately. It's going to trigger the bug. Then I'm going to click another item, which would make the right click to drop not show up. Yeah, I think that'll do it. That's the bug. That's it. We figured it all out. Oh my goodness. Okay, that took like 3 hours. Not all today. I spent some time on another day. But wow. And Freak Technic is the one who originally had this thought of, hey, it was when they clicked as soon as a worker took it. I could just never repro it for some reason. Huh. What are your thoughts on corporate jobs? Anything in particular you're curious about? Because I think that in general they're fine. I don't like them, and I think that has something to do with just my own mentality and my circumstances, I guess. But yeah, I'm happy to answer like maybe a more specific question about this. Not currently, just on a journey of learning and trying a ton of new stuff. Would love to have an income from programming though. Well, good luck. I think finding a job now, if that's what you are looking for, is I think very difficult in this market. Hey, Banana. The item is still in an item display. Maybe wait until it sells or click a different item. I don't think the item is in the item display anymore. If I add a new item, it's gone from there. Feels good making progress with fixing a bug. Yeah, I haven't actually fixed it yet, but I do think the fix is very, very simple. But we need to figure out the class of issues that I had here. So let's write down how we reproed this, which was, we don't need this code to be here. This could have been the same, and that's not needed. Yeah, so we just turn off the timer and worker wander. Found the bug. Oh, I see. Gotcha, Kevin. Wish I hopped on the 200K a year for junior web dev. Yeah. I've worked for American investment banks my entire career, 13 years. The amount of politics involved working for corporations is embarrassing. Yeah, you know what? The earliest corporate vernacular to enter my vocabulary was ping, as in I'll ping you about that later. And I hated myself for it. Now I don't think it's so bad. But yeah, back then I'm like, I'll never say that. Can we circle back? Do we have the bandwidth to tackle this right now? I don't know if we have the cycles for that. A friend of mine said that she's really bothered by let's double click into that or something. I've never actually heard this myself, but she apparently heard this a bunch on her job and was very bothered by it. I haven't heard that, banana. Hated hearing about people's mental model. That I don't find off-putting for some reason. Although I'd probably still say mentality over mental model. I always tell my team in January to buckle up as we're finally getting around to all the things we said we circle back to in the new year. He's the only one. We're gonna hop on a quick call, turning into an hour meeting, more or less. The meetings going way beyond what they should be. I feel like there needs to be more meeting hygiene in offices, of like always have an agenda, trim your attendee list, and what else? Like stay on task. Some of these are pretty hard to do, right? Staying on task is not easy during a meeting. It's pretty easy for things to fly off the handle. But to have an agenda is not hard to do, and people should be doing that. Oh, look, Wednesday's free. Let's introduce new meetings. Yeah, I think that's what always happens. Some people, it's so hard to schedule meetings where they're like, oh, hey, Wednesday, I'm free. Just don't tell anybody. Yeah. Agent spell out the entire website domain for me and try to describe how to open my browser. Little do they know this is my lifestyle. It goes to show you the average person they're dealing with, such that they needed to put that in their script, or that the person just felt the need to tell you that stuff. Okay, I want to include this. Yeah. So we don't need this here anymore. So it's this that I want to copy paste. Oh, man. It was pretty funny. Okay, so yeah. I found the bug based on that video. Okay, so here's a foolproof repro. Here's a foolproof repro. Just add this code to player held item.cs. Define this to be true at the class level. I'm not going to add that code. It doesn't matter. What this does is force your first worker. Oh yeah, you also need to cut out the pick up item state, which I did by commenting out. It's in worker wander. Commenting out this line of code. What this does is force your first worker to pick up the item that you grab at the exact same moment that you grab it. However, it only works for the first item that you grab, so that you can then pick up another item normally and not see right click to drop on the screen. Does that even do anything? I do this and then this and then this and then right click. Okay, yeah, if you were to drop it, if you were to right click without picking up another item first, then the bug would go away. Then the fake item would go away. And you probably wouldn't notice the bug. Typing Google in the search bar and clicking the search result for Google. So I do sometimes do this because Bing is my default engine. Although usually I'm typing Google into the address bar. But yeah, every once in a while I search for something like test and I'm like, oh, I wanted this to be on Google. So I I get to Google and then type my thing that I wanted. But yeah, I guess that's a different scenario. In fact, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd really like to have a button here that says repeat this search with Google. Obviously, Bing's not going to add that, but I could write an extension or something that just puts a button over here. Because sometimes I am searching for something in particular, like maybe, I don't know, imagine something super technical, like a Godot specific thing. Yeah, typically something like that. Like I search for whatever, Godot issue with reparenting a node or something. I'm not sure. I'm just making something up. And yeah, I'm like, oh, this isn't that great. I'll take this and I'll put it into Google, and then I do that and I find something better. Hey, test user. It's going well. I'm feeling pretty good. There's been a bug that's been around since September 30th, at least, that we finally just figured out. The fix for this is pretty simple. Let's go try the fix because I haven't actually done that yet. Where is that? Here. Yeah. Item source dot. There, done. Okay, let's try it. You send them that feedback. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. You want to do what with our search results? All right, so the worker's going to try taking it. Oh, they still got it somehow. Uh-oh, that's not good. Oh, wait. Oh, that's not what's happening. I am not. I don't have a way of testing this. That's too bad. Because I shortcut it to make the worker pick up the item. But what really should happen is that they should reach their target. So here's what we could do. We could just put a breakpoint here. And if the item is considered to be held, then we're fine. Yeah. Oops. I did that wrong. Doesn't matter. Okay, so all we need to do is check this. Item, whoops. Item dot is held. Should be true. Yeah, perfect. Okay, then we're fine. Yeah, there should not be a problem here. But remember, and this is like a giant software lesson number 17 here, is if you ever find an error, make sure you haven't actually found a class of errors. So as an example, totally innocuous, but let's say you got some like a print statement saying like click the button and you made a typo. This is probably not the only time you've ever typed the incorrectly in the code base. So at that point, just search your whole code base for te and see if you did make that mistake again. So in this case, our generic issue is that we have a condition here that we don't check down here. So possibly we've done this in other places. So now I need to go check every other state process and see if that's the case. But we fixed this one, so that's not going to be a problem anymore. So yeah, let's go through every other state process we have. Make that mistake logging a lot. Tells. All right, let's just go through all of these. Close out of this. Close out of everything, actually. Okay, so what do we have here? We don't need this code. So this checks to see if the item target is there, if the item will accept, the item target will accept it. Yeah, I think this is fine. Pick up item. Yep, we have the same condition. Now, interestingly, this is going to be duplicated code across these functions either way, right? What happens if you reach the target and you're not, and you can't do anything there? Oh, I see. Then we just go to this code. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Anything else? No, that one's fine. This is empty. This is nothing. What's this one? Is holding item, drop off item. We don't have a reach target here. Reach target. Oh, it's in base wander. What does base wander do? Nothing. Just gets another target. Yeah, that should be fine. Buy item, what do you do? If the target's null or it doesn't have an item or it's held, then acquire a new target. But what happens when you reach it? Uh-oh. I think this is another instance of this bug, but this one rarely happens because you need to pick up an item from a shop. But we still need to fix this. So this is why I said that giant software lesson is fix a class of issues. Yeah, so we need to make sure that this has an item and that it's not being held. Oh, wait. Oh, this checks it. Yeah, never mind. This is not a bug. What's the bug here? Well, this one doesn't have it. But anyway, what the bug is, I'll try to explain this quickly. So we have entities with various states, and some require moving to a thing first. So the state has a state process, which basically says like maybe seek out an item or drop off an item, something like that. And then we have a function called reached target. And this says something like pick up an item or something like buy the item. So how about we just look at this? Let's collapse these states. So state process says seek out an item. Reach target says buy the item. These actually have some if statements around them. So it'll say something like if the item is held, then find a new item. What was happening is we did not mirror this condition over here. We should make sure if the item is not held, then you're allowed to buy it. But if it is held, you can't buy it. So I was assuming that, oh, we're checking in state process. So if we haven't found a new item, then we must be able to buy it. But that's not true because these things are run from different systems in the game. So we just need to check the condition again down here. And so far, everything looks fine. It looks like we only did have this one bug in our code base. Yeah. Except for maybe here. Let's take a look at this one. Reached target. This doesn't have a reached target. Seeks. What is this? What is this state? Seek specific item. Oh, we transition into a new state if the item exists. Ah, there it is. Yeah, buy item. Cool. So items are being bought when they shouldn't be. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so we had a condition and then we had an action we were trying to do. And we were eventually just calling the action without the condition. We just needed to duplicate this and put it here. Fix for this is pretty simple. It's all in. We can delete all this stuff now. Battles. We don't need this. Well, the fix for this is pretty simple. I'll just say look at the associated commit. It should just be one line of code. Because we don't need this. Wow. Well, it's not even really one line of code. It's half a line of code. And it took hours. Do you have interest in reading them? Yeah, sure. Could you share them on Discord? Just tag me in a message. Ideally, the Skeleseller Discord. All right, so this is issue number 305. Fix phantom items. Fixes 305. Thanks to Thena Dragon's video where this happened, we were able to confirm that the bug was caused by picking up an item on the exact frame that a worker, I shouldn't say the exact frame, I'll just say at the exact same time that a worker also picked up the item. I wrote many more details in the bug itself. Yeah, I'm sure I will. And thank you for sharing them and for writing it down, for playing the game. I do look through all of the feedback that I get, and I want to try to stick to that. It's sometimes tough because I feel I need to understand a little bit about the person giving the feedback to know exactly how to process it sometimes. Like, let's say there is a button and it does say something like, sell item. You don't need to understand anything about the user to understand, oh, there's a typo here. But for things like the game should be faster paced, like this is not necessarily feedback you should act on. And if you got it from 99% of your user base, then yeah, probably you should act on it. But if you get it from 10% of your user base, like, is there anything you even need to do? And the answer is sometimes. Maybe you make a speed control, and that way those people can play with it faster, and most people don't play with it faster. Or maybe you don't do anything about it. Oh, no, sorry. I wasn't trying to say, I don't want to add any burden to you. I can always follow up with you if I have any other questions. If you do want to add context, it would probably help, but I want to make it as easy as possible for you to submit the feedback. Spending 2 days to commit a one-line change. My boss loves it because those kind of bugs just never get solved otherwise. Yeah, this is... The way I kind of look at this is, this task took, let's just say 3 hours, right? And in the end, we typed, like 10 characters. So just from a characters per hour perspective, this is terrible, and no one would argue that. But the way I try to look at this now is that this task always would have taken 3 hours, and that we needed to spend those 3 hours at some point. We happen to spend them now. But if you look at it as being a 10-second task that ballooned to 3 hours, then you'll feel bad about it. But I don't think that's how that works in this case. It's like these are just difficult to hunt down, and you got to spend the time at some point. Been a bit MIA. Have you tried any AI agents for your code base? Several can parse GitHub issues and do a pretty solid job identifying or fixing or implementing things. So I've tried them intermittently. The last time I tried it was when Copilot added agents to VS Code, and it didn't really wow me. Recently, I read something on Hacker News about a vulnerability that existed in a code base. I'm gonna summarize the story, and I'll probably get this a little bit wrong. But basically, this person found a severe issue, and then they asked AI to find the same issue. And like 10% of the time, the AI did find it. So they did 100 runs, and like 10 runs found 10 of them found the issue. What's difficult about this is, are you gonna look through 100 runs to see what the AI is reporting? Would the AI even report it in a way that you'll notice it? Like, let's say you look through 30 runs and you're just like, well, there's no issue here. Like, I'm not going to keep reading these. And then it turns out in the remaining 70 is where the issue is going to be. So the hit rate needs to be pretty high for you to trust this and want to spend that time. And granted, this was for like 1,000 or 2,000 lines of code for a severe vulnerability that was not straightforward. Yeah. I think it was that one that you're talking about. And yeah, test user, glad to hear you're excited. Yeah, I'm excited too. I hope we get to the point where the game has a future. All right, let's watch this turn purple. Perfect. Finally close the stupid issue. I mean, just look at how many words we typed to try to figure this stuff out. How many people had to chime in. Oh, man. Okay, well, that's all done. So now we can get rid of all of this. Do you have a large future planned out? So here's what's on the radar for now. There's all of the sort of normal launch stuff. So things like maybe localization, maybe things like Steam achievements, probably some other things there. Then more content for the game. So probably 3 new adventurers, probably like 4 new bosses, X new locations, I don't know how many of those, new items, so on. And then I also want to add challenge modes for launch. These I haven't really fully come up with yet, but imagine modifiers for your runs. And some are positive and some are negative. So you might have something that says like start with the farm, and a negative one might be like perks cost 10% more. So it basically becomes like a mini sandbox, and then we give you some constraints in that run. So maybe like you can't find weapons anymore or something, or you, I don't know, can only use one party member. So I'm hoping that'll be good. If you can or want to review, I pushed the change for the window scale PR. I wrote the fix hours ago and just realized I had not committed. Okay. Yeah. I will. What time is it though? Oh, it's almost noon. 11:40. Okay, so this is the PR. It's fixed now. Cool. Okay, let's go take a look. So 1003. I really, really hope it didn't unset that thing. Oh, it's not even in this change. Still, I should probably reload the project. Okay, so the way we test this is by loading up our save file. Where is our save file? Where is it? There it is. There. Do I have a open save file? I don't. Okay, well anyway, let's load this up. So we load up the save file. We go find the scale thing. It's not even there. The position needs to be saved though, and that is not saved. So let's run the game. So we need to start a battle. Let's start 3 battles. Then we undock. Actually, wait, we don't need to undock. We could just make one of these bigger. No, we don't even need to do that. Let's just save. And then in here, let's delete all of the scales. And then load. And now when we start battle windows, they're all the right size. So now we're going to undock them all. And then save. Yeah, and then delete these again. And then load again. Yeah, nice. I think this is working fine. Cool. Hey, Sakurai. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know what the fun fact is. So I don't know whether I can say yes to may I, but yeah. Okay, so I'm assuming that Kevin did this the way where regular is now the default property. 2 commits. 2 commits? Did he merge in main? Oh, no, it's my commit. Okay. Yeah, regular is now the default. Sounds good. Cool. And then from value where null is removed. That also removes my idle comment, I guess. But enum functions had from value, which didn't use is defined before. Where do we use this? Do you know who achieved the highest dragon boss count? There was some talk about it in Discord, but I don't remember who did it. Maybe Dells or maybe Matt. Okay, that's fine. Swords and sandals. I don't think I've heard of this. Yeah, I don't think I've heard of this. Born as a Flash player game. Yeah, I must have not played that one. 43 wins. Okay. What? I think that's the highest of anybody. But wait, I'm trying to think without even knowing what could you have possibly done to win to that extent? Because they'd probably do like insta kills, so you'd need to just have your dodge chance. So like archer, rogue, and What would you have done? Hang on. Did I even... Let me look this up. Battler level, battle system level. Here it is. How does this work? Oh, wait a second. We scale linearly. Okay, well, anyway, that's still impressive. I can easily do 70 wins. Well, let's see it then, Paj. Yeah, what's your loadout? What like super broken thing is in the game that I'm not even aware of? I feel like the more Paj plays Skeleseller, the lower the rating's gonna go. Because at first he's like 10 out of 10 game, yeah. And then he's like, you know, it's 8 out of 10. Pretty good. And then recently he's like 6 out of 10 game. Never reveals his secrets. He never actually numerically rated them the first 2 times, I think. Yeah, okay, this looks good. Let's check this in. Did my last comment talk about... No, it did not. Okay. Looks good. Thanks for the patience with the changes. There's one comment I meant to make that doesn't need to be addressed in this PR. The tooltips for the minus and plus buttons probably need to be updated. Okay, so comment and merge. Oh, wait, whoa. Add your review. Got to do that. Approve. Cool. So yeah, these things need to be done at some point. Let's switch back to main. Go over to here. Did this thing delete my scene root again? Oh, I see what's happening. The code needs to be built for it to even know that there's another property. But then why is it deleting the property? That's the part I don't understand. So I got to go to the project list and then build this from over here. And then once this is done, open up the game. All I know is the warrior is busted for bosses. But how? He was on creative mode and he summoned an army of golems to help him, but he was very proud of himself. The Wither. I haven't played Minecraft, and yeah, I don't think I've seen this thing. I haven't played Minecraft in a while, but even when I played, I think that Ender Dragon was in the game, and I don't know if I've ever actually gotten to the Ender Dragon. You need to like throw a bunch of pearls and figure out where the underground palace is or something. I don't remember. It was too much for me. I was like, I just want to make a house and then get bored and stop playing. Did I run that? Disorient. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks for telling me we now have to nerf that. Oh man. Okay. No. No, I mean I do, right? It can't just be that there's one skill that trivializes the game. Disorient needs to be nerfed. Test use her. Won the crypt like 43 times. Do it without cheating on hard mode. Do it solo self-found hardcore. Or you're no son of mine. Okay. We've done a heck of a lot. finished script. It didn't. Oh, there it goes. Prep for next fest. This involved finally finding and fixing the phantom item bug. They got a point for telling you it's overpowered. Yes, they did. Pige is like super defensive about points now. Now that I've actually given him some points, he's got 3. And he's like, I don't want people passing me on the leaderboard. The talent skills are fine. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so this afternoon we're going to do some triage. And maybe some small changes. I kind of want to make the fishing pond easier to start a battle at. Yeah. Yeah, I want to file these things first, for sure. But then find like 1 to 3 issues that I can tackle. I sort of want to do the fishing pond battle when you click the pond. It shouldn't be that hard, right? I'm about to break your stupid game for a point. I already know about disorient. Can't tell me about a bug I already know about. By the way, this list is getting manageable almost. We're at 32,000 characters. I actually removed some more stuff. In fact, let's write that down. Look at that. Down from 77,000 characters. So in the month of May, we've pruned a lot of the things from this list. Now, granted, they didn't all get tackled. Some of them were deleted and don't need to be tackled, but then some of them are just filed on GitHub. Should it work how I see it working? It's working how you should see it working. It's just broken. That's all. Like it's too powerful, kind of broken. When this hits, the affected enemy has a chance to miss attacks. Yeah, and I think this is such that it stacks, probably. Disorient. How does this work? Crush. Disorient. Target. Here it is. Chance to miss debuff. So we just add this, and I'm guessing when we collect all of this up that we let it stack. Get miss chance. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works. And what's the actual chance on this? 40%. And how long does it last? 6 seconds? Yeah, so I guess you can basically like lock out an enemy. I haven't been at my desk. Hi again, Sinistella. Oh man, what a day. What a day. Yeah, sometimes these issues are just tough to hunt down. I mentioned I've been playing the finals. Excuse me, and I don't remember how long I've been playing it for, but apparently there have been at least 6 seasons of the game, and they had a bug that they only just now fixed that caused some like kind of game-breaking behavior. So just to make it easy to understand, it's a first-person shooter, and you're not supposed to be able to see through walls, but there's an item that lets you see through walls for a little bit of time, and it would get stuck on players, so that now you could just see them for the rest of the game as though there were no walls on the map. And it took them a very, very long time to find and fix that bug. It had some other causes and other effects as well, but yeah, that one was pretty severe. Warrior, Paladin, Cleric seems to be working. I think just the Warrior alone is probably enough. Actually, like Warrior, Archer, and Rogue might do even better. Because I was going to say, at 43 repeats, any one hit is going to kill you. So it's all about minimizing how much damage the enemy does. It's at the very bottom of the patch notes. I wonder if it was common. That sounds like it'd be frustrating for a hardcore mode. It'd be nice to see bug postmortems for things like that. In fact, I kind of wonder if I should do one for this. I guess when there are easy issues like this, it's not really all that interesting. Because it was the investigation that was annoying. All right, I'm going to go. I got to get lunch. It's noon. I'll be back in about an hour, and we'll keep working on this stuff. Thank you all for watching so far. It's been a good morning. Have a nice food. Thank you, Joss. And yeah, if you have not wishlisted Skeleseller yet, please do. We are at a little over 1,800 wish lists, and the momentum has just kind of died down completely. So tell your friends, tell your family, and yeah, I'll be back in about an hour. Hopefully see you all then. If not, have a great weekend. Goodbye.